Speaker, I wish to remind the Honourable Prime Minister that we were together with the LEPEP, writing the LEPEP manifesto, the government programme, and the cabinet decision of 10th July 2015. Am I to understand, Madam Speaker, that no fee at all has been agreed, hourly fee, daily fee, anything like that, has been agreed for payment to the commissioners so far, and you're telling us that this will be agreed only at the end of the Commission of Inquiry?
Yes, there is no fee that has been agreed at the beginning, and it is also quite normal, since the extent of the work that has to be done by this Commission of Inquiry, and we all know that it would have taken some time. Therefore, it is only at the end of the Commission completes its work that then the issue of fee, of course, will be looked into. But I have stated also that there are criteria with regard to what the civil service has already laid down, and also taking from also past Commission of Inquiries, where then fees will be agreed upon.
I understand well, for the past 2 years, the commissions have been sitting and there have been no interim payments, part payments, etc. made to them, apart from the 2.2 million that you have mentioned. Just wanted to make that clear.
Well, this is the information that I have. I have given the expenses in connection with the running of the Commission of Inquiry, but not as regards to any fees. No fees has been paid to any member of the Commission as yet.
Do you think that does the Prime Minister agree that it is not fair to ask the commissioners to work for 2 years and not to receive anything in between at all for their efforts? How are they to live?
Can I then maybe read from that question that there is any request for any fee to be paid as an interim manner? I haven't seen nor heard any such request.
I thought it was quite normal, Madam Speaker, for the people to be paid so that they can live at the end of the month. How is it that you expect the commissioners to live after 2 years and the assessors without any payment at all? I'm asking.
Well, but that is how it is, Madam Speaker. This is what is agreed with the. Well, maybe so that I can, unless there is a confusion. Madam Speaker, the staff. First of all, we have the commissioners, and then we have the members, the 2 assessors, and then we have the staff also. Now, the staff are being paid, obviously. But the commissioner and the 2 assessors, it is understood that it is only at the end of their completion of the work that the fee will be determined and will be paid. Unless, well, I have not received any representation so far.
They can spend Christmas and New Year well without any payment at all for the last 2 years. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister. No, honestly, they should be paid. Honestly, so that they can do a good work. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister. The cabinet decision of 10th July decided on the terms of reference, on the commissioners, etc. It's quite clear from the cabinet communique. Now, this is why, since it is the Prime Minister who advised the President to set up this commission, did it occur at all during the last 2 years for the Prime Minister to go back to the President and ask her under Section 2 of the Commission of Inquiry Act, 2 subsection 3, where the President may determine when the inquiry will be held and when the report rendered, so that, given the time it is taken, the President would ask the Commissioner to submit interim reports as and when required under this section. You quoted another section. I'm going under section 2.3 of the Commission of Inquiry Act.
Madam Speaker, on such an issue as drugs and drug trafficking, I think we should leave, first of all, we should not be giving any wrong signal to the people that we are trying to interfere with the work of the Commission. And I think the Commission is independent. It is doing and regulating its work independently. And I don't see any reason why we have to ask for an interim or a draft report. I believe that when the work will be over, the Commission, the Commissioner, his assessors will be making recommendations, and from there, when we will see what action government will be taking.
Has the Prime Minister been given any indication yet when the final report, the report is expected from the Commission?
Well, I have not been given any indication. I must say also for the simple reason, I have not been interfering with the work of the Commission.
Okay, given the very wide terms of reference, there are 14 separate items that the Commission has to report on, including rehabilitation, including existing legislation recommendations, including new types of drugs, etc. Would the Prime Minister agree that it is likely that the Commission is going to take very long before coming to a report because of the very wide terms of reference, extremely wide terms of reference on this committee, of this Commission, and that is why I'm asking for the Prime Minister to use his good officers vis-à-vis the President under Section 2.3 to get interim reports, and I'll say why in a moment.
Well, Madam Speaker, first of all, I cannot answer for the Commission. The Commission has embarked on an inquiry, has been calling a number of people, witnesses, and is digging, I must say, as far as it can, in order to try to get the facts correct, and obviously to come up with a number of recommendations. So I will allow the Commission to regulate itself in the manner that it thinks fit. This is anyway according to the law, and the time it will require to take in order to be able to conclude its work. And I don't see any reason why at this stage, why I should be either myself or through the President of the Republic to request for any draft report. And the second issue which you raised was about, sorry,
Speaker, the law is quite clear that the President may set a date for a report or interim reports. I'd like to ask the Prime Minister here, and just to say also that I think the nation and myself and the opposition commend the commissioners and the assessors, the commission assessors, for the courage they're showing. I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister, given that it's taking so long, given, for instance, that so many prison officers have been compromised in the Commission of Inquiry, can I ask Honourable Prime Minister, whilst waiting for this report, how many of these prison officers have been interdicted, suspended, etc.?
Well, first of all, in the literal sense, yes, we have to wait for the report. But in the practical sense, government is acting. We are not just sitting down and waiting for a report to be communicated to us, for us to act. And we can see the results. I've given the figures. How much seizures have been made. And you've been in the past governments for so many years. And I have given figures for 2014. I can give figures for even before that. How little seizures were being done. But now that this government, we have made it a point that we are waging a relentless war against drug traffickers. And the results are there for people to see. So I cannot put any pressure whatsoever on the Commission. The Commission will there is a judge, a former judge of the Supreme Court who is presiding over it, and well, we trust his ability and of course the time it will take, and let us see that after the time will come surely when everybody would have been listened by the Commission and they will come up with a report.
Speaker, that despite so many allegations, even accusations being leveled against prison officers, very senior police officers and more junior police officers, that there have been no interdictions, nothing since the last 2 years that the Commission has been sitting, and that these prison officers are continuing their work in the prisons, and these very senior police officers are continuing their work around the country, including ADSU officers. Is that what the Prime Minister is telling the nation?
Well, what I'm telling the nation, Madam Speaker, is that I go according to the law, and I have full respect for the law. Allegations are being made. Well, first of all, the Commission itself has to check on the veracity of those allegations. How can I just act when I hear that there is an allegation against Y and Z, and we ask the authorities here to take action to interdict or to suspend somebody? There has been even allegations against myself. But, I mean, I leave it to the Commission to analyze, to look at the evidence before it, and then the Commission will look at what is really, according to them, what is serious, what has been verified, what has been proved, and they will come with their conclusion. So I cannot act. It is as if the leader of the opposition is telling me there is a case before a court, people are giving evidence, and right in the middle of that case, take action. But let us wait for the judgment. And I think this is straight law, in fact. To me, it is straight law. That we need to wait for the conclusion. And even from that conclusion, I mean, I don't want to dwell into the legality of the conclusion of a commission of inquiry. Even after that, there are certain things that can happen. So I cannot act on an allegation unless it has been shown to be true, it has been proved before that commission. That commission itself comes with a finding.
I hope you give us a little extra time given the importance of the question. I'd like to ask the Prime Minister, what happens, for instance, if these people decide to leave the country? Already you have one Mr. Ramzin missing somewhere, he's disappeared in the Kishna case. What happens if all these people, whose names have been mentioned, serious accusations made against? I don't want to mention any names, but I can. They just decide to go and leave the country and stay like Tirena Pasami, etc. elsewhere. What would happen then? How are there at least objections to departure, arrest on departure, whatever? Are these applicable to all these persons who have been listed and accused and allegations made in the Commission of Inquiry, or are they all just free to go as they please?
Well, then no one is free. People are, first of all, free. There's free movement of people in this country. And as I say, we have to go according to the law. There is the inquiry which is ongoing. There is evidence before that commission. I will repeat again, and I think it is the leader of the opposition who doesn't understand how the law works in this country, how we function, and how a commission of inquiry functions. And it is just the same thing as there is a case before the court. Now, if there is, and I must say, Madam Speaker, people can, I don't want to give numerous examples where authorities are acting. ADSU, the police, inquiries are being conducted, so many people have been arrested, suspected, I must say, because we can't already condemn them, but suspected drug traffickers who have been arrested, inquiry is ongoing, and eventually cases will be brought before the court. Well, these are things that we do, and I say, according to the regulations and according to law.
The Commission of Inquiry on Horse Racing gave an interim report. It disappeared, I agree, but it gave an interim report, and it said quite clearly, this is where criminal investigations should be directed. This has not happened, so far as you are aware, from this Commission of Inquiry?
Well, we have acted. In fact, I myself, I have brought a number of amendments to the laws here. We have requested, obviously, police to carry out inquiry, but, you know, inquiry must come to a conclusion, and there must be at least a prima facie case against somebody, and matter will be then referred, and it is not the police who decides anyway. It is for the DPP. The case file will be sent to the DPP for the DPP to take a decision and then to recommend whether there is charges that can be preferred against anybody. This is how we function.
Madame Speaker, il n'y a pas de plus sourd que celui qui ne veut pas entendre. What I'm saying is this. There have been cases of tampering with the evidence. You want me to mention the name of Mr. Bulbul?
Don't
There have been
mention
cases
names,
of tampering with the evidence, trying to pay off people, threatening people. There has been a case where some sort of very secret witness was actually, his house was searched, apparently to intimidate him. There have been all these. This is why. There's also the chance that evidence will be destroyed, that witnesses will be scared into not giving evidence in the future. This is why I'm saying to the Honourable Prime Minister to use his good officers. This is genuine what I'm asking. To use his good officers to get an interim report so that at least he doesn't have to say, you know, I don't have a final one yet. Get an interim report every 3 months if necessary, so that the police, ADSU, everybody, FIU, everyone can get on with the work and achieve what I think the whole House wants us to achieve, that is to break the back of the mafia.
Well, let me say that the Commission of Inquiry has, within its own powers, it can take a number of measures. And also, if the Commission of Inquiry feels that there is a need for government to act, for the authorities to act in a particular way, they can always, send information with regard to particular cases. And I must say, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is again saying that, but he's repeating allegations which have been made. I, as Prime Minister and the authorities, we cannot act on allegations. We cannot act in the sense that it is as if a conclusion. What the authorities can do is to inquire into those allegations. And I can assure the Honourable Leader of the Opposition that in a number of cases there were already inquiries that have started, and in others there are inquiries that have started also.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition, you've got 2 more minutes
Okay,
to go.
thank you. Madam Speaker, I'm very disturbed with all these officers, ADSU and all that, still running around loose in the country. Now, he mentioned the fact that his name has been mentioned in the Commission inquiry. Is he still maintaining the idea of going to depone there? Is that still on? Are you still going to depone before the Commission? Or is
Madam Speaker, I've written officially to the Commission of Inquiry requesting for a right to not only to depone, but to answer to those frivolous, those false allegations coming from somebody who has been sentenced to jail 40 years, a drug trafficker, and making all sorts of allegations against me. I'm that kind of person who can face that kind of people.
Yes, I'm glad to hear that. Madam Speaker, this is the last question.
Yes.
I just want to ask on the resources that are attached to the Commission. There are something like 10,000 police officers in Mauritius. I understand only 6 police officers are attached to the Commission of Inquiry. Can he again use his good officers to double or treble the number of officers attached to this great commission so that the Commission at least can do its work quicker and better?
Well, Madam Speaker, I must say I'm surprised, because if there is a request from the Commission, this government has set up this Commission of Inquiry. Let me remind the Honourable Leader of the Opposition. He was in a government where repeatedly we were asking for a commission of inquiry to be set up. I remember Honourable Ami Amia, when then he was well, together with us in the opposition.
It's not courteous when the Prime Minister is talking to talk at the same time.
On so many occasions, he had requested the former Prime Minister then to set up a commission of inquiry because we were aware of what was happening in the country. We were aware comment le problème de la drogue prenait de l'ampleur et tuait des familles, des jeunes. They kept quiet. Not only did they kept quiet, the former Prime Minister then said there was no necessity. There was no necessity. Why? Maybe to protect certain people. But now that this government has acted, and therefore, as I say, if there is a request, we will be willing to assist and to provide the Commission with, obviously, the required human resources. And if there is a request for further or additional manpower, of course, we will look into it and consider this request.
Time is over.